One of my primary issues when it comes to the dating advice that modern society gives women is that what it does to women is it gives them impunity against a certain thing called shit tests, right? Modern dating gives women impunity. It makes them feel as if they're right for their shit test. Now, their shit tests are right. You know what I mean? A woman does want to have that natural feeling within her where if something feels off about a man, she wants to test his masculinity to see if he is the type of man that she wants. But the truth is this. What'll often happen is when it comes to the modern advice that people give women when it comes to dating is it justifies and rationalizes shit tests. So what it does is, let's say they'll tell a woman that if you want something from a man, that you make him prove himself, right? Now, the issue with this is this. A beta male will go through that process of proving himself to a woman. An alpha male will say, fuck that, right? Now, a man being an alpha man, I'm not the biggest on alpha beta, it's just a quick way to explain things. But when it comes to that type of mentality, when it comes to that mindset, what a woman will do is she will set herself up in a position where when she tests a man, if he passed the test, she's going to punish him for passing the test depending on how interested she is. So if that man is highly valuable to her, she's very interested, then oftentimes what will happen is she will have to betray her own logic in order to continue dealing with that man after he passed the shit test. This is the issue with the dating advice that people give women these days, right? They teach women how to manipulate weak men and not how to be submissive and not how to have a successful and a healthy relationship with a man who is masculine. So what will happen is you'll see all these things and they sound so good. They sound so good to the ear. Like about, certain aspects of, if that man cares about you, he's going to prove it. If that man wants you, he's going to do this. If that man really wants you, he's going to do that. The truth is this. A man who has options is not going to do all that shit unless he thinks you're worth it. So what it does is modern dating advice gives women the impression that no matter where they are, no matter how submissive they are, no matter how attractive they are, no matter what it is that they bring to the table, that they are the table, and that they have no responsibility or accountability to play their role in a relationship. So what'll happen is a woman will feel unsure about a man, right? When she feels unsure about a man, she'll test him, right? If that man passed the shit test, then a woman is in a position where that is contradictory to her social programming. So because it's contradictory to her social programming, every once in a while, this is something that'll happen, right? And this is what ends a lot of relationships. A woman may have a mindset where she is so deeply ingrained into her social programming that if a man refuses to prove himself when she's trying to pressure that man for validation, then she will leave the situation because she's now at a place where she desires a man who is more on a beta male type of level. This exacerbates the Madonna whore complex that a lot of women have. And this is something that causes women who have this mindset to only be sexually compatible with alpha males, but not to be compatible with them for a relationship, right? So it puts women in a messed up position where the only men who are really able to get at them are men who have a strong enough sex appeal and a strong enough level of masculinity to be able to go over, and a strong enough level of game to go over their social programming. But then there's also the men who have the ability to want to lie to a woman, to tell her whatever she wants to hear, and then to do whatever he wants, to operate outside of what he says. So it encourages women to deal with men who will lie. So like, let's say a woman shit test you. How that normally would work. If a woman doesn't have that highly feminist mindset, then what'll happen is a woman will shit test you. She will try you. She will test you. She will disrespect your boundaries. She will disrespect you in one way or another. She'll try to test you. And when you check her, then she is going to listen to Derek Jackson and other simps like that, and Steve Harvey and these other people. And what they're going to do is they're going to look at you from your perspective, and from her perspective, she's going to say, this man doesn't want me enough. And then she's going to leave. Now, when the fact is, if you're a masculine man, if you are a man who has integrity, then chances are whatever that woman wanted from you, if she was acting right, if she was on her good behavior, if she was treating you the way she needed to, she would get whatever she needed from you. That's the thing that people often don't understand. So it puts a woman in a position where it further exacerbates the issue. But it's really covered up, it's really painted up, it's putting lipstick on a pig, where they'll come out with certain narratives like don't gaslight yourself. They'll come out with certain narratives about relationships and stuff, but the things that they're saying are things that women do themselves. It's like, oh, men are inconsistent, men are like this, and men are like that. And then those women, they'll get online and then they'll try to, do it's a society-wide shit test where they will complain about the attributes that attract them to men because they can't help the fact that they're attracted to those attributes. Their mindset about masculinity isn't integrated when it comes to relationships. So they'll be sexually attracted to those attributes and it will draw them in order to deal with the man. It'll entice them on a curiosity level, but because their social programming is so strong, they won't be able to make that work for a relationship, right? So it's like women who get online saying, communication is key, communicate. Men need to open up more. Men need to express their emotions. No, it's like, listen, your social programming is like something that's on the surface. It's something that covers up how you really feel. Because a woman's internalized definitions of masculinity works like this. If the sexual attraction and her respect for his masculinity isn't high enough, which is the reason why she feels comfortable trying to pressure that man for validation in the first place, then if that man, if it isn't high enough, then if that man expresses a certain level of emotional vulnerability, or that man expresses a certain level of compromise, or that man expresses a certain level of communication, exposing himself, then really what's going on is when she raises up in a way to be aggressive with him, when she raises up into her masculine energy to start making demands, to start making objections, and his mindset is that he's going to communicate and he's going to be the bigger person in the situation, then effectively he is submitting himself to her social programming and putting himself in a position where now she has even less sexual desire and even less respect for him. But because of that social programming, it puts women in a position where those are the only men that they will be able to be in a relationship with, right? And this is what I'm trying to explain to a lot of people, what I want them to understand. Like, there's a lot of narratives like about psychology, and it's the demonization of masculinity, of masculine energy, right? Because what will happen is, let's say a man may check a woman, a man may say something that may come off as a little abrasive to her, right? The truth is this: if a woman is truly in her feminine energy, you could say something that is abrasive. You could say something that'll check her, right? But if she's truly in her feminine energy, if she's truly sexually attracted to you and submissive to your masculine energy, then when you say something somewhat abrasive, that's just going to go straight to her pussy. That's just going to turn her on. This is something to understand, right? But if her social programming is so strong that she doesn't see that as a man who is, if her external definitions of masculinity are to see that as a man who is weak or fragile and has fragile masculinity, which is what they say, then it'll put her in a position where on the surface she won't be able to respect that man, but she will still desire that man sexually, or she may still desire that man's his validation. So these are just some things to think about. Like, when it comes to modern dating and the advice that people give women, it's often pandering. It often puts women in a position where the men who would actually check them, the men who would actually be able to put their foot down. See, a woman can't decide for you how you're going to check her. Like, a woman will say, well, if you just say it like this. No, you don't decide. Like, if you come out of pocket with me, you don't get to decide for me what checking you means. You don't get to tell me that I need to be nicer about it, or I need to just, if I were to just say this. No, if you would have just shut the fuck up. Honestly, that's how it works. Really, it's like, if you would have just listened in the first place, if you would have just understood that the moment that my energy became more aggressive is because your own energy was starting to get masculine and you were trying to compete with me. Or if you realize that when you were trying to compete with your masculine energy, that I just shut down and I got cold with you, then you would understand, okay, cool. If you were in your feminine energy, if I got cold or if I got aggressive, you'll say, okay, cool, I messed up. Let me fix this, right? What's going on, right? Because you're trying to adapt to the man that you're dealing with. But expecting a man to adapt to you is this feminist bullshit mentality that messes up relationships. It's this mentality that causes women to be in a situation where it's the reason why they deal with toxic guys, right? If anytime a man approaches you sexually and you come with a shit test trying to make him prove something, or trying to make sure that he's not just trying to have sex with you, then you make yourself a target for men who are willing to lie to you to get what they want from you. And you put yourself in a situation where you're putting yourself in a situation where man may either be willing to lie to you and then seduce you after the fact, or man may actually go along with what you're saying and then you may get raped. Like, these are real things that happen. I don't advocate for rape. I don't think that's cool. I don't condone it at all. But what I'm saying is people don't want to take accountability for certain things that happen in situations where a woman will pretty much pressure a man to lie to her. Like, When a man first meets you, he only knows that he's sexually attracted to you. He doesn't know that he wants a relationship with you yet, right? He doesn't know those things. What he knows is that he's sexually attracted to you. The answer is, are you sexually attracted to him? It's real simple. And if the answer is no, then you can keep it pushing. And if the answer is yes, then, you deal with that man, or you see his character along that way from when you have that conversation to where you meet up, and then you figure out if you want to go through with that process, right? But if it's a situation where you're trying to say, what are your intentions? What do you want to do? I'm not that type of girl. You're putting yourself in a situation where a man knows his sexual intentions, and either he's going to disrespect your boundaries or he's going to deceive you. And this is what most men will do, because most men don't have a level of game. Most men don't have a certain level of integrity where they're going to be upfront and honest about their sexual intentions, because they were conditioned by society to think that they had to be dishonest about it in order to get what they wanted, unless they wanted a relationship. Like, the only acceptable, honest way to be with a woman is being honest and upfront about wanting a relationship. But being honest and upfront about your sexual intentions is even more honest about that. Because if you're a man who's looking for a relationship before you even know if this woman is relationship material, you probably have attachment issues, you have low self-esteem, you have a low sense of self-worth, and you don't value yourself. If the only thing you know about that woman is that she's attractive and you want a relationship with her just based off of that, then you're missing it. You're fucking up. So these are just some things that we need to understand when it comes to socio-sexual dynamics. We need to understand these things. Like, women will be like, oh, men need to communicate, men need to express themselves. No. Your energy's not right. Your energy's not right. One, you're probably trying to have a relationship with a man based off of a friendship, right? Friendship isn't based in masculine, feminine dynamic. It isn't based in sexual polarity. So when you try to build a platonic friendship and then turn that into a relationship, which can happen and it can work, that only really works, just like any other relationship, when there's a natural sexual desire there and there's a natural desire for submissiveness, right? A masculine, a dominant, submissive type of mentality and perspective on it, which will create a natural working flow in the relationship where you aren't butting heads, where you know your perspective roles and you're carrying that out, right? And you can decide what those roles mean for you. It doesn't mean that one person pays all the bills. It doesn't mean that you split it 50-50. It's whatever you decide in that situation, but your energy needs to make sure that it's complementary. Because when a woman takes this mindset of using these modern dating tips that they give to women, all this know your worth bullshit, that what goes on is a lot of times women don't assess their actual worth when it comes to what a man wants out of the situation. What women will do is they will assess a man by the things that they think that, they will assess themselves by the things they want from a man. And that does not work. And men do the same thing. Like, I had a video about prematurely integrating masculine and feminine energies. When you do that, that's what happens a lot with the coaching that people give to women, is teaching them to be more masculine, right? When you take that masculine approach with a man, then you're only going to attract a man who has a reciprocal level of feminine energy, who's willing to communicate with you, who's willing to do those different things. And oftentimes a man is willing to do those things because subconsciously he understands that you don't have that sexual desire for him, you don't have that natural level of submissiveness with him, so he doesn't want to face the music or face the reality that you don't feel that way about him, so he's going to be willing to go through that stuff. But as a man grows into his own masculinity, as a man grows into his identity of who he is as a man, it'll often turn out where you will eventually start to butt heads. You'll eventually start to butt heads, because usually that comes out of a man having a mindset where he doesn't really understand what's going on. But after he understands what's going on consciously, then that relationship is going to pan out to failure. Or it's going to be one where the woman is the one who's in control, and she's going to resent the man because she's in control, because she doesn't want to be. She wasn't built for that. She wasn't made for that. And she's going to resent the man because of it. She may cheat. She may neglect him. It may be a dead bedroom where she doesn't want to have sex with the guy. Or it may be a situation where the man will have no sexual desire for the woman because he doesn't feel respected. These are things that happen as well. So it's like, when it comes to the dating advice that people give women, I think that the red pill advice that we give to men is the same. The red pill, I call it biology first, a blurred pill. For me, it's the blurred pill because it's a little bit different from the red pill, but it's an offshoot. The same advice that we give to men, we need to give to women, right? And instead of teaching men to manipulate women, just teach men how to be real about their shit, how to create real sexual desire within women, how to create real natural desire for submissiveness, and then show women the same things. Show women the pleasure that can come from being submissive. Show women the pleasure that can come from letting a man take the reins. Showing a woman the pleasure that can come from allowing for getting in her feminine energy, and when a man checks her, knowing that this man just showed that he is the man. making her feel like a woman, making her desire to get that pussy beat up. Like, these are the things that we need to understand. Like, it's a lot that goes into this. You know, I see it all the time. And oftentimes, men will fall into this trap. Like, men will see women post things like this online about, you know, saying how they want a man who's more feminine, as far as they want a man who's more emotional, or they want a man who expresses themselves a certain way, or they want a man who does this, a man who does that, or they don't like men who are inconsistent, or they don't like men who have fragile egos and different things like that. And there are men with fragile egos, but this is not what I'm talking about. You know, oftentimes when it comes to these situations, the lines get blurred, because when it comes to the dating strategies that people give women, it often turns into this. A woman is not going to know the difference between when she's really saying what her standards are and when she's giving a shit test. You know, she's not going to know the difference. And the man she's dealing with may not know the difference. And when it's like that, there's going to be too much here or there. It's going to convolute things. It's going to confuse things to where a woman may be giving she may feel like she's making a genuine claim. She may feel like she has a genuine grievance with something that the man said or did. But because of her energy's not right, she's not going to realize that she's making a shit test. And when she makes that shit test, a man may pass that test and then she'll punish him for it. Or she may leave. Now, I usually say this: if a woman leaves you when you're maintaining masculine frame, it's because she just don't want you like that. But sometimes a woman really just drank the Kool-Aid of her own social programming. So just understand these things when it comes to social sexual dynamics, and they can help out your relationships.